Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Simple G, and this time I bring you a Warframe video. Like I said before, I've been Still Path and clearing Still Path, and now I want to leave you with a few tips and a few Warframes that helped me along the way. Now, first of all, tips about Still Path. Still Path, for those who don't know, who don't play Warframe, is like the and it's not exactly endgame because, in Warframe we are very skittish about using the phrase endgame in anything that the game has, but it is a high difficulty level of the game, where the level enemies is certainly increased to 100 times more. So with the at regular levels, the enemies are like level 30, here they are level 130. So they're a lot more powerful. Not to say they're a lot more menacing, but they are a lot more powerful. So in order to complete Steel Path, there's a couple of tips that I can give you here right now. This is what I use. First of all, use the dailies. I mean, the dailies is like the daily missions that you can do. There's 5 of them that, because Steel Path is a very niche, veteran, high-level players, you might not have, might want to do a mission and not have people to do it with. So this is a good way to have other people helping you and maybe figure out just how to destroy them or help you destroy the enemies and finish the mission. So the dailies are really, really good. Also, they provide you with steel marks, which is very good. You can take the tension and change for whatever it is on his shop. So it's a real good guaranteed way to get these marks instead of just waiting for the acolyte to spawn and kill them. Here you can have the steel marks from the mission, and if the acolyte appears, you get those too. So it's really good. My second tip is stock up on energy and ammunition pads. Now, this was something that I knew I was going to use. I already use energy pads, uh, not regularly, but quite frequently sometimes. And this one, you will run out of energy a lot of times because you have to spawn a lot of abilities. A lot of it you have to spawn a lot of because the enemies are super. They're tougher, so you have to you know use your best abilities and your strongest abilities. And of course, using strongest ability also depletes your energy really fast, so you need that energy. But remember, these pads have a 1 minute cooldown. You cannot be spamming them all like you want, but like maybe you could do it like finding an eidolon or something like that. No, you need to use one, and then you have to wait a minute to use it again. So you need to be careful about energy consumption here, and even ammo consumption. I was amazed at the amount of times that I just ran out of ammo. Not because the enemies either didn't drop them enough or I didn't have like an ammo mutation on my weapon. And so yeah, you use a lot of ammunition to kill a lot of enemies, and then you might run out of it. And I did. This is the first time in years of playing Warframe that has happened. So that is also something required. Health pads, well, it depends. If you don't have Arcane Elevate on your operator, which is when you switch from operator to Warframe, it gives you, I think it's 200 health. If you don't have that, you definitely need health pads. If you do have that, like I do, you might not need a lot. But it's also nice to have. It's nice to use the energy, the health, and the ammunition pads. I'm just giving you this tip right now. Now, the last tip that I'm going to give it to you is use specters. I know people are skittish about using specters because they use resources to build them and all that, but I have used specters before when I was starting Warframe. When I was starting Warframes, I had to use specters because I was playing solo. I did not understand how matchmaking worked because I was a very low level. I didn't have anybody, help me with earlier missions like it happens. So I used specters, and they are really, really helpful. Just so you know, the specter that you spawn will always be at the level of the enemies that are in those missions. So if you're finding yourself in trouble, if you don't understand what's going on, if you're having trouble even killing the enemies, you can use specters. Specters are actually so good they can kill the acolytes. I had a video before where I was in Limbo. I thrown out a specter. I just went into Rift mode, and the Spectre actually killed the acolyte. So there are useful specters, especially if you know how to combine them with relative weapons. And I mean, you can't control their abilities, but if they have good abilities, like for instance Nova or Trinity or Harrow or something like that, they can be helpful in in a tight squeeze. So, or if you don't use them regularly, they actually do a really good service in Steel Path right now. Now, with the tips out of the way, I'm going to talk about the Warframes that I use to clear Steel Path. Now, the Warframe that I used the most was Limbo. Limbo was my main Limbo or in the regular game, so in Steel Path I did the same. Because if you realize, most of the missions in Warframe I actually just go in A to B. And as long as they don't hit you and you hit them, coming out of the rift, giving one hot shots and going back in, you can do this. So Limbo is useful for capture, sabotage, rescue, mobile defense. My god, mobile defense so good, and excavation. I use them in all these missions, more or less. And it's really good. I mean, if you played Limbo, if you were main Limbo, you will know how to use them and how to really get the best of them in these missions. If you don't, you can use my other Warframe, Loki. Now, Loki has a similar property like Limbo. No, he cannot get shot while he is invisible. The enemies don't see him. But he is a lot more useful in kinds of DPS because while he's invisible, he can still do damage, while Limbo cannot. When he's in Rift, he can't do anything. So I use Loki for survival missions, junctions, and of course, capture and bosses. Now, in bosses, it depends a little bit. I can't say he does all the bosses very well, but he does do the junctions all very well, especially with the setup that I have with Levitated Death, where I use the Orvius, and I levitate the Spectre, and then I just shoot him and kill him. So in those regards, he is very good. If you're not comfortable using Limbo, or if you think Limbo is lame, like I know many people do, you can use Loki to clear most of the Steel Path, because, most of the missions, like I said, is going A to B. In other missions where you have to really get, control over the situation, you have to kill enemies, like defense and interception, I use Vauban. Now, I also use Vauban, I try to use Vauban also in excavation missions, which can work, but of course, if the enemies are really far away, they can one-shot the excavator, so I wouldn't advise all the time. He can do it, but not as good as Limbo. So for defense and interception, he is the best. I mean, I used to run Bastille a lot, but then I realized that Vortex is a lot better because the CC just has this immense range. It can just suck everybody in that appears on the area. I mean, it's even better than Larva, because Larva, you activate it once, it grabs a couple of enemies, but the other enemies that spawn in, the Larva doesn't catch them. It just keeps the ones inside him that he already grabbed before with his tentacles. While Vortex is always active, so anything that comes close just gets sucked into that ball, and you can just shoot it as many times as you like and just blow them out of the water instantly. I mean, it is really, really good. Vauban, I was surprised because Vauban a couple of years back was really bad. It was really weak. I mean, it's still not exactly a strong Warframe, but his abilities and the use of his kit has improved immensely. So yes, for those missions, defense and interception, you can just drop Vortex wherever you like. Just time it from one to the other. Enemies will just get sucked into the Vortex and they will do nothing. I mean, the CC that Vauban does now is absolutely amazing. And if you have a good weapon, like a Tannet weapon or a Kuva weapon, you just can blow them up all the time. And that is really, really good. Now, the last one that I use, and I just use him in one specific mission, was Ashe, and I use him in extermination missions. Missions that you have to, follow along, and you actually have to kill everybody. Now, Vauban and of course Vauban can do that, but you have to be stationary. You can't even clear a room, then go ahead and clear a room. While Ashe is Blade Storm, and I use the variant with the Banshee Savage Silence, which increases the finisher damage of it. I just melt every extermination minute. It doesn't matter if it's Corpus or Infested or Grenier. I mean, sure, Corpus have the nullifiers, so it's you have to get out of your comfort zone of your invisibility and kill them. But I mean, just using the Blade Storm is absolutely amazing, and you just melt everybody all around. You just melted everybody really easily. I mean, it's fun to use. It's not my most used. But if it was in terms of fun, I mean, I put Ashe right on top because it's just so fun to, just having these 150 level enemies, 130, and just melt them in one shot. So it's really, really good. Now, honorable mentions, I will give one here, which is for Cora. I mean, I did not use that much, but the ability to CC and the fact that she's so strong, our armor is really strong and the health is always really strong, is also very, useful. I end up using her a lot in the arenas of Sedna, which is like her main thing. I mean, if you're having trouble in the arenas of Sedna, killing the guys, grabbing the guys, you can just go with Cora, grabbing these guys and kill them. That's it. She's that good. You can put the Strangle Dome down, and you also use the Entangle, and the enemies will just, whenever they spawn, they'll just get trapped there, and that will give you time to destroy them either with a Kuva weapon or the Tenon weapon. Also, use of energy is actually, you can modify it because, you can't use pads here. You have to use energy that spawns in this place, in the energy and the health. And she does, because she is so strong, she does have a really good pool of health. And the energy, you can just manage it with your efficiency mods and clear the arenas really, really fast. I was amazed that, the first arena we didn't really know what I should use. But in the last arena, I was, worried how I was going to do it, because these are the strongest enemies. They're like level 180, and they're really complicated to kill because they have a really high life bar. So when I realized that Cora could just do the CC, the snare, and Strangle Dome, that makes the job so much easier, so much simple. And also using the operator also helps. But man, Cora just cleans arenas like nothing I've seen before. So if you're in trouble in that particular mission, Cora is the main to go. These were my 5 choices to clear a steel path: Limbo, Loki, Vauban, Ashe, and a special mention to Cora. No, I'll show the builds that I use them here at the end. I'm not sure where I'm going to put them. But if it helps you and you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And as always, have a great game, guys.